Well, here you are, watching this, thinking you're just another face in the crowd, but you're not, are you? You've always felt it, like someone, somewhere, is keeping notes every time you breathe a little too deeply, every time you laugh when you're supposed to stay silent, every time you survive what should have finished you. See, while everyone else is busy scrolling, shopping, and smiling for cameras, you're the one that doesn't fit the frame. You're the glitch they pretend isn't there. The spark they keep trying to smother. They wave flags, sing anthems, toast to their version of freedom. But you carry a freedom they can't parade down Main Street, the kind that makes the room go quiet without you saying a word. And that's why you're not invisible. You're unforgettable. A name that shows up in whispers, in files, in places you've never stepped. While the world celebrates noise, you sit in silence. And somehow that silence feels louder than all their fireworks combined. They watch you, not because you've done something wrong, but because you exist in a way they can't control. Think about that. You never needed to break a law, wave a weapon, or raise your voice. Survival alone was enough to make them nervous. You laughed when you should have cried. You healed when you were supposed to stay broken. You remembered when forgetting would have been easier. And that right there is what terrifies them, because you're living proof that their system doesn't work the way they say it does. Somewhere in a locked office, your name sits on a file, not because of what you did, but because of what others whispered. A slip of the tongue here, a private moment shared there, a secret that fell into the wrong ears. Piece by piece, they built a case out of shadows, and now to them, you're not a person. You're a variable, an unpredictable factor that refuses to play along. They don't watch you to protect themselves from danger. They watch you to protect their illusion from crumbling the second you breathe too freely. Here's the part they'll never admit. Your power isn't in what you do. It's in what you don't. You can sit still in a room and suddenly the air feels heavier. People shift in their chairs, voices drop, eyes avoid yours. That's not coincidence. That's energy. That's presence. They call it paranoia, but you know better. When the walls seem to lean closer, when phones cut out mid-thought, when someone always happens to just pass by at the wrong moment, that's not chance. That's surveillance disguised as concern. Chains wrapped in soft words like, "We're just checking in." But the truth, they don't monitor you because you're reckless. They monitor you because you're precise, because you've seen too much and you don't flinch when the truth gets ugly. That calm you carry, it unsettles them more than any outburst ever could. And maybe that's the funniest part. You don't have to raise your voice, slam a fist, or light a fire. Your silence alone feels like prophecy. Your stillness rattles their entire structure. And your knowing, that quiet grin, they can't catalog it, can't contain it. It slips through every net they cast. They think the cameras give them power. They think the notes, the files, the trackers keep them safe. But here's the joke. Control is just a costume they wear to hide the panic underneath. because the harder they watch, the more they prove they're afraid. Every log they make, every screenshot they save, every quiet conversation tagged and time-stamped, it isn't proof of strength, it's proof of obsession. You've become their weather report, their unpredictable storm. They huddle around their screens like fortune tellers, staring into static, trying to predict where the lightning will strike. But lightning doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't follow their charts. It doesn't fit inside their forecast, and neither do you. What they don't understand is this: the more they study you, the less they see. They archive your movements, but they can't archive your spirit. They analyze your words, but they miss your meaning. They measure your silence, but they never catch the signal inside it. They think they're holding the leash, but every tug, every pull only proves the leash was never theirs to begin with. Here's what they never calculated. You turned their surveillance into stage lights. Every glance, every note, every whispered report became part of the performance. They thought they were catching you in the act. Instead, you made the act out of being caught. See, they think paranoia eats people alive, but you turned it into prophecy. They stare at your stillness like it's suspicious, but you use it like a mirror, letting them see their own fear reflected back. They can't tell if you're planning or if the plan already happened, and they're just late to notice. You flipped the script. Their monitoring was supposed to shrink you, to box you in, but instead it stretched you wider, louder, brighter. You learned to use their eyes as amplifiers, their notes as confirmation, their fear as fuel. Now, every time they check in, every time they whisper your name, it doesn't weaken you. It reminds you of who you are, what you carry, and why they can't look away. You're not just observed, you're immortalized, etched into memory by the very ones who hope to erase you. They love to parade their freedom, don't they? Flags waving, songs echoing, fireworks splitting the night sky, loud, bright, polished. But here's the thing: if freedom has to be performed, is it really free? Your freedom doesn't come in colors or slogans. It doesn't need a parade. It doesn't ask for applause. Yours is the kind of freedom that can't be marketed, can't be sold, can't be stamped on a bumper sticker. It's quieter, heavier, and far more dangerous. Because while they toast to independence with plastic cups and paper flags, you carry a fire inside that doesn't fade when the music stops. You're the anthem they tried to silence, the kind of freedom that doesn't rhyme, doesn't beg, doesn't pledge. It just burns. And that's why they watch you closer on days like these, because your very existence whispers the truth they'd rather ignore. That control is fragile, that their celebrations are smoke, and that real freedom doesn't explode in the sky. It sits in silence, smiling, uncontainable, alive. They tried to map you, didn't they? Tried to chart your steps, archive your laughter, pin your silence to a timeline. But no matter how many times they replay the footage, you don't fit. You don't record right. You glitch the system just by breathing. That's what terrifies them most. Not that you'll make a move, but that you might not. And even your stillness feels like rebellion. You're the storm they can't forecast, the line of code that mutates every time they run it, the ghost that refuses to stay buried in their files. And here's the secret. They know it's not if, it's when. Tick tock. Every second you exist outside their script, their grip weakens. Every smile they fail to categorize. Every silence they fail to decode cracks the illusion a little more. You are inevitability in human form, a shadow they can't erase, a presence they can't predict. The more they chase, the faster the ground shifts beneath them. And in their obsession, they forget the most important truth. Storms don't run from the watchers. Watchers run from the storm. Here's the twist they'll never see coming. You're not the one in danger. They are. Because while they pour time, money, and sleepless nights into watching you, you've been evolving, growing sharper, stronger, untouchable. Every glance they steal only feeds the fire they can't extinguish. They thought surveillance gave them power, but all it's really given you is proof. Proof that you matter. Proof that your presence bends reality. Proof that your very survival unsettles the system built to keep you silent. And that grin you wear, the quiet one, the knowing one, it's louder than any fireworks. It's the kind of grin that says, I know why you're watching, and I know it scares you, so let them watch. Let them whisper. Let them drown in their notes and screens and shaky little theories. Because the punchline is this: you were never hiding. You were waiting. And when the silence breaks, it won't be chaos they hear. It'll be clarity. You're not just free. You're dangerously free. The kind of free that can't be contained, coded, or erased. And that's why they fear you, because you're not their subject. You're their reckoning. And by the time they realize it, it'll be too late.